Alright, so the Toronto attack. This story is taking a very, very ugly turn, and it's taken it fast. The first thing that often comes into discussion with these sorts of events is what terrorism is and what it isn't. And it's I stick very strictly to the dictionary definition because, quite frankly, I feel like the people who do are just trying to corrupt it for the sake of Newspeak and for the sake of agenda, and it isn't helpful at all. See, for instance, in this case, there was the first question that popped into people's minds: Is it a terrorist or isn't it? And the driver has been identified as Alec Minassian, which is a very Armenian name. Armenians, of course, are mostly Christian, and they have the oldest continuous church in the world, probably. I think they date back, well, at least to the, probably, don't quote me correctly on this, but probably continuously back to the second or third century AD. So it's a very old church and rich Christian heritage there. So yeah, he's very likely a Christian. Just say that. So yeah, and here's the definition. So, is it politically or religiously motivated? That is the sole question. If it's ideologically motivated, that would be the big umbrella term. If it's motivated, an act is motivated by uh, political or religious ideology, then yes, it is terrorism. If it isn't, then no. So a lot of people take the spin that, oh, if the attacker is white, then it's not terrorism in the media because white privilege, and if he's brown skin or dark skin or a minority, then of course, oh, evil terrorism. But no, not the case. There have been several incidents involving people of all sorts of ethnicities that aren't politically or religiously motivated, and then yeah, it's a hideous mass murder that it is, but terrorism no. Also, there have been very obvious incidents involving people of European or white origin who have definitely been acts of terrorism. Anders Breivik in Norway, the shooter who shot up a whole group of kids from the youth movement of a political party with a politically motivated agenda. That is very much terrorism, and quite frankly, no sound mind would deny that. Anders Breivik, very much definite, perfectly like straight to the definition, terrorism, and multiple others. I mean, the Austin bomber. I don't know. I don't know the story well enough. I know this guy tried to send mail some package bombs or something. If there was political motivation behind it or any agenda or ideology that he was subscribing to, that he was trying to advance or whatever, or spark terror and fear in favor of that ideological advancement, then yeah, that may have been terrorism. I mean, it's the Vegas shooter, not terrorism. Vicious mass murder, but we cannot prove terrorism there. There's no proof that he was a part of or doing this in glorification of any ideals and or political or religious group or whatnot, any or any terrorist organization. So we have absolutely, well, to the last of what I heard of that story, absolutely no proof that that was a terrorist act. So yeah, so there is a definition there. However, now what happened very quickly following the identification of this driver, when his name was publicly released, is that people started digging up. This Facebook post came up, and everybody was just like, "Oh, he's an alt right, this, and that," and so. And actually, come to think of it, I have to point this out: that even they're considerably left wing, the government and everything in Canada, but they did not want to use the term terrorism either, even though their counterparts, they're very much, the Trudeau's party is very much a twin party of the Democratic Party in the U.S. now. Down in the U.S., oh, this would have been an act of terrorism Probably right from the get-go, people would be jumping to those conclusions right away. Well, maybe not though, because he did use a van, not a gun. Had he used a gun, they would have definitely gone to her. No, wait. Oh, the Democrats. I mean, the guy. Oh, well, Armenian. Well, he is a Christian. Maybe they would have called him Christian. So you see how ridiculous this is when we start going there. So just drop it. Drop it. We go by literary definitions, but I'm glad they actually went by the dictionary of the Canadian authority. So anyways, yeah, to go back to it, this Facebook comment came up, and before it was verified, it was almost as if media was dying to run with it, dying to paint it, give it this political spin that it's all just 4chan and toxic masculinity and all that kind of stuff. And well, it's always it's always toxic masculinity when there's any political. It's never maybe feminist ideology, modern feminist ideology, and its advancement has corrupted gender relations, caused a very misfortunate indoctrination of young boys, and actually stripping them of their masculine survival instinct. It's never that. No, 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 no. Because their masculine survival instinct is toxic masculinity. So they have to strip themselves of that and become completely dysfunctional as men, if you will. And of course, then they have nothing to offer to a woman. And it's, very, very predictable that they're going to end up as incels, if you will. Involuntarily celibate. It's a hideous, hideous term. And I don't know, men who are watching this, especially, those of us who have, high drives and reproductive urges, we're gonna understand. These are forces that are, it's not for every man to keep that contained while focusing on other things for lengthy periods of time only to then get back to it. It takes a lot of self-control. And if you've beaten those mechanisms out of the guy and softened him up, well, then, what you're left with is someone who doesn't have the capacity to understand this part of himself, nor any of the tools he needs to keep it contained whenever needed. Because that happens to all of us, even to guys who have considerable amount of luck. That will happen. Send any group of guys to war, they're gonna have to contain themselves for quite a bit, or ship them to the South Pole to do research missions or whatnot, or sailors. Yeah, I'm descended from a country that has a lot of sailors. Yeah, we know. But yeah, so at any rate, it's never that. They always go straight to this, and what I fear with this is that they're gonna use this spin to further advance an agenda into internet censorship, speech, expression, and communication restrictions, which would be perfectly in time for the upcoming political campaigns in Canada, because I think it's next year, the next election. And yeah, of course, it would be very, very misfortunate if beloved Justin Trudeau would have any rivals, because at this point, I don't think it takes an awful lot in the hearts and minds and souls of the average Canadian to actually challenge his position. I don't see Trudeau as particularly strong and approved of. Generally, I don't see his approval ratings going to actually remain in a lucrative enough a spot for him to be reelected. Oh, that was a mouthful. I'm sorry, it was a very complex trail of thought there to sort out and try and express to you guys. Besides, it's very late in the evening for working tirelessly for hours. Not that that's any excuse. Oh man, tough it up, suck it up, Buttercup. Just go serve these people. So yeah, at any rate, yeah, this is just it just looks fishy, and we've gotten so used to living in what's steadily growing 1984 type of reality in this world, and we're all very much cattle and sheep on the animal farm, if you will. So this is just it's become part and parcel, to quote London Mayor Sadiq Khan, another not too popular political figure. Even people on his side of the political aisle are starting to wake up to the fact. Well, as some would say, a scandal, but some would say, well, not having turned out as well as we hoped for. But yeah, at any rate, so it's just this looks like it's something that we should be concerned about. That they might use this as an excuse to just further advance and tie the reach of government authority and intelligence authority onto platforms, and then that affecting not just YouTube and Twitter as it has so far, but affecting 4chan and other chans and Reddit and YouTube. Well, because we all know, working or doing our thing through YouTube, we all know that's a little bit of a shaky foundation right there. So yeah, it's we should definitely be on our toes on this one, because if we give an inch, they're gonna come in and take it all, and we'll be straight in the cognitive and intellectual gulag of hive mind and approved ideas and approved thoughts and approved, prescribed, if you will, opinions, government prescribed opinions. And yeah, this Norseman is not gonna go down in silence on that one, because if there's one thing a Norseman has, the only thing he has, it's his own mind. This belongs to this guy. This guy alone. You keep yours. Yours. Don't let me mess with it. Don't let anybody else mess with it. And, well, I'm not to say if you want to let someone mess with it, that is on you, but I wouldn't advise it. And if you want to take my advice, don't let me mess with it. Don't let anyone mess with it. And least of all, should you let any government or politician or alleged authority, legitimate as they might claim to be, come in and tell you that they have the right to mess with that. And that's it for now. Viking out.